Hi everybody and welcome back to Underdog Factory. My name is Tristan and I am here to help you guys grow your YouTube channels, specifically gaming channels. Now, for those of you who are visiting for the first time, just to give you a quick update and explain as far as who I am, why this channel exists, I own a YouTube marketing agency called YouTube SEO Ninja. We do about $10 to $15 million per year in sales only from YouTube and organic and paid traffic on YouTube. We're pretty darn good at this stuff, if I'm allowed to toot my own horn just a little bit, and it's pretty cool. Now, the goal of these videos and this channel, my Discord and everything, is to help you guys turn your YouTube hobbies into a career, something you can turn into a full-time source of income, something you can do as more than just a hobby, something that you can actually support yourself and your loved ones with. And it's not really that hard to do this. I do it fairly regularly. Like, that's my job. It's literally my job is to help people do this, and it's a lot easier than you think. And the reason that's the case is because so many people don't understand the way that YouTube actually works. They don't understand what they need to do in order to actually grow their channels. And so they'll sit here and they'll think, okay, I have been making videos for 2 or 3 years and I have 100 subscribers, right? You know, then you go to these support groups, you go to these help groups, right? And like, all right, so all you got to do in order to grow on YouTube is you just need to make more videos, make better thumbnails. It's like, that's true, but how, right? How do we do that? And that's what I'm trying to answer with this video. And I'm already 2.5 minutes into this, and we're taking too long with this intro, Tristan. Speed it up. So, the goal of this video and the way that we're going to help you make better videos, the way we're going to help you make better content, is by understanding the math and the science that actually happens behind the scenes on YouTube when it decides whether or not to show your video to somebody, and how it chooses that somebody to show that video to. And so we're going to talk about how these things work, how these systems work. So the first thing we need to understand is that there's not just one algorithm. Many of the algorithms have very similar traits and things that they're looking for, but they are all different. And for every traffic source, there is a unique algorithm that is controlling it. Okay, so that means that your homepage has an algorithm. That means that your search traffic is going to have its own algorithm. It's going to mean your notifications has its own algorithm. It's going to mean Shorts has its own algorithm. Like, it's all unique. Now, the majorities are still looking for the same thing except for Shorts. So what we're going to do now is we're going to tear these algorithms apart and explain what we can do as creators to manipulate the algorithm. That doesn't sound like the right word. To give the algorithm the variables and the numbers that it needs in order to show our content to more people, and specifically to the correct people. So we'll start with Shorts just because it's funny and it's easy and it's short. So with YouTube Shorts, then what it's primarily looking for is something called a view to completion and a positive engagement. Now, that means that somebody watching the video all the way through, or watching like the video multiple times, there's a very, very strong signal to the algorithm that this is quality content that people are going to want to keep watching. And then positive engagements, the main factor that I've noticed with my Shorts, and I've had a few of these pop over 1 million views, is going to be shares. So people taking the short and sharing it with other people. That seems to be the biggest factor that I've noticed on that end. But then you also have things like comments, people liking the video, people disliking the video, although we're losing the dislike button now, and I think that's kind of dumb. But, it's those engagement that YouTube's looking for in order to determine whether or not to show the short to more people. Now, it's also going to be looking very shortly. It's also going to quickly look at the actual tags that you're using. So you have hashtag Shorts, but you can also put in like hashtag gaming, hashtag funny moments, things like that. And we can include 3 hashtags. And one of those is already going to be Shorts. So really you have 2. And that's going to help the algorithm to decide what people to show that video to, or which people are going to have the opportunity to watch that video based off of the categories that they are already interested in on YouTube, which I can show you right now. So this is my homepage. This is the stuff that I watch every day, and this is just like my personal account, right? So up here at the top, these are the categories that YouTube thinks that I'm interested in. Gaming is obviously number 1. Warhammer 40k. I love the Tyranids, and I also love the orcs. They're hilarious. Podcasts, cryptocurrencies, which you can see that's right here. This is the kind of content I enjoy watching on YouTube. And so if I were to do a short trying to target myself, I would probably do something like hashtag gaming, hashtag cryptocurrency, right? Or hashtag NFT or something like that. And then that way, I'm telling the algorithm, hey, look, this is the audience that I think is going to be most interested in this content. And so there's a good chance they're actually going to show that video to people with these categories on their homepage. But that is the Shorts algorithm. Now, all the other algorithms are a little bit more complicated. And the main reason for that is just because YouTube's able to get more data out of the videos and out of the viewers. So there was a conference held back in September of this year, of 2021, called Vid Summit. And it's a really, really big conference for like the really high-end YouTubers, YouTube marketers, and so on, and it's really cool. And I'm actually going to leave a link to that in the description where you guys can go and you can buy the replays. It's like $200, but it's some valuable information, guys. Like it's bonkers. In this presentation that this gentleman gave, then he was talking about how the YouTube algorithm has kind of evolved a little bit as compared to in previous years. And the biggest thing is that they kind of added a third category of variables that they look at when they're determining a video score. So, in case you didn't know, YouTube actually scores every video that's uploaded onto its platform. And that initial scoring is based off of the video's click-through rate and its watch time, its average watch time. The actual number that it talks about in the documentation in the white papers is the estimated watch time per impression in seconds. And again, that's what's your click-through rates, and then how many people are like, how many seconds does somebody watch once they've clicked? And then what's all that compared to your impressions? Okay, so now they've renamed it. Now it's appeal, engagement, satisfaction. So appeal is going to be your click-through rate. That's going to be how interesting is this particular video or this particular topic to this specific viewer. And I think it's actually pretty interesting to keep in mind that not only does each traffic source have its own algorithm, but like there's almost an individual algorithm for every single person on YouTube, or at least for every single account. So there's a lot of algorithms to mess around with. But again, going back, so it's how interesting is this content for this specific viewer. Okay, so again, you looked at my categories. If I see somebody podcast about cryptocurrencies and gaming, I'm watching that because that's something I'm really interested in right now. And so it knows that, and so it's going to show me more of that content, and you can actually see that popping up here in my recommendations. And then the next thing we look at is going to be engagement. How engaged is the viewer in the content that they're actually watching? Which the numbers that we get to see in our analytics that reflect that is going to be our retention time. How long are people actually watching the video? What percentage of the video are they actually watching? And the higher those numbers are, then the better that video is going to perform, because it's telling the YouTube algorithms, hey, this video is interesting for this audience and they're really engaged with it. They're watching it all the way through. That's a really good thing. We want that to continue happening. And then the final thing is satisfaction. Now, satisfaction is kind of broken up into two different parts. One of them is just going to be positive engagements, so likes, comments, shares, and so on, subscriptions. And then the other thing is going to be people watching multiple videos on your channel. And we've actually known about this for quite a while. If we go back again to those white papers, there's one called latent cross. If you ever need a nap, read latent cross. It'll knock you out. But it was really interesting because there's one part where it talks about how they train an algorithm whenever a new account is created. And it talks about this concept. So what they do is, or at least what they did at the time of writing in this document, is they would look at the last 100 videos that somebody has watched or a period of the last 7 days. And then also looks at like search history and that kind of stuff. And it uses that to determine what kind of content, what kind of categories that viewer is going to be most interested in. Now, what's interesting about this is if it's looking at the last 100 videos that somebody has watched, and assume somebody has watched 100 unique videos from 100 different creators, okay? That means all the data is going to be pretty uniform. There's nothing that really stands out. But if you get somebody to watch 2 of your videos, right? Or if you get them to come back and watch a video again, like if you reply to a comment that they may have left, they have to come back to that video to reply to that comment, right? If you can get your content to show up 2 or 3 times in that list of 100 videos, well, now you're a statistical outlier because everybody else is 1%, you're 2 or 3%. And like that doesn't sound like a lot to the human brain, but to a robot brain, that's 2 or 3 times higher than everybody else. That means that that person is showing 2 or 3 times more interest in your particular content as compared to everybody else on YouTube. And so what does that mean? That means YouTube's going to show that your content to that viewer 2 or 3 times more often or more. And so getting people to watch multiple videos is really going to be one of the biggest things that we want to happen. Should probably be the biggest, I don't know if priority is the right word, the biggest goal that we have when we're creating our videos is how do we get somebody who's just watched this video to go and watch this next video. And so those are like the big determining factors. Now, that's great, that's helpful, but how do we kind of apply some of this? Like, how do we actually use this information to, how do we manipulate these variables? Okay, I think that's a good way to ask the question. So let's step back, right? Let's go back to the appeal. Let's talk about the click-through rate. The click-through rate is the number of impressions divided by the number of views. Okay, it's the percentage of people who had the opportunity to watch one of your videos. What percentage of the people actually ended up clicking and watching? Now, an impression is when somebody sees at least half the thumbnail or the title of your video for more than 1 second. And what that means is that somebody has been given the opportunity to watch one of your videos by the YouTube algorithms. It means that they think that person might be interested enough in watching that content, and they kind of determine based off of their user history and everything else that your video might be interesting to them. And so it then becomes our job, our task, and the first bit of the algorithm that we can kind of manipulate is to do a really, really good job of explaining what that video is about and what the content that video is in just that brief second. Okay, what can you put as a thumbnail or in your thumbnail that will help tell that viewer, hey, this video is going to help answer your question, this video is going to entertain you, or this video is going to inspire you. Okay, how do you put that into a thumbnail? How do you communicate that in a single image? Okay, so that's why we see so many of the like faces and that kind of thing, is because they're trying to show some sort of emotion. They're trying to give you a preview of what's going to happen in that video because that's what they want you to see, right? That's the key point of that video, and so they're trying to communicate that with you in the thumbnail. Now, the faces or the faces aren't always great, right? It really depends a lot on what the content is and what it is you're trying to do. Instead, what I like to do is I'd recommend that you take a step back and kind of look at the type of content that you're creating. Okay, if you are making tutorial videos, for example, let's say that we're talking about Halo Infinite. Okay, new game just came out. I'm really bad at it. So let's say I'm looking for tutorials in Halo Infinite that will teach me how to play the game better, right? I want to be a better long-range player. Okay, so if you show me, for example, the scoreboard of someone being at the very top and saying, hey, we got the top score using the battle rifle, right? Or the sniper rifle, something like that. And then that's going to say, hey, this video is going to show you how to be the top player using these long range weapons. Like, that's what I want. Give me that video right now. And then the title of the video could be something similar. Where to find the best long range weapons. Where's the best place to snipe from. How to best support your team as a long range player or something like that. Like, all that's going to be really good because that's going to help me solve the problem that I'm trying to solve, which is me being bad at the video game. Now, if we're talking about something more entertaining, then you can show like, a screenshot of something funny happening in the game, and maybe your face as a reaction to it, or a character's reaction to it, or something like that. But we need to kind of hint at what that climax of the video is going to be, what that main point of the video is, and we do that with the thumbnail. And then we say something like, oh my gosh, Master Chief was kidnapped by the flood, or something like that. It's like, it's not like a spoiler alert kind of thing. Like, you need, like, that's the interesting thing that's going to happen, and the whole rest of the video is going to build up to that moment. The whole rest of the video is going to be leading to, hey, this crazy thing that happened in the thumbnail, here's how we got to that point, and here's what comes after, right? And so again, that's how we're going to be looking at the thumbnails and the titles of our videos. We can track the success of our thumbnails and our titles in our YouTube analytics. We're going to be looking at the click-through rate, and then we're also going to be looking at the impressions, and we want to see the impressions go up. We want to see click-through rate go up, but typically the more impressions you get, it will actually bring your click-through rate down, just because YouTube's showing your video to kind of a more broad audience, right? So they may not be super interested in Halo Infinite. They might just be interested in Halo lore, right? And so you're going to be reaching some of that kind of a larger audience that's related to it. And so that's how we work with our click-through rates. Okay, again, pay attention to what it is your viewer actually needs and wants, and then show how that's going to occur, or show that it occurs in your video using the thumbnail, using your titles. All right, and test, experiment, tweak. If something's not working for you right off the bat, take it out, put something else in there, and keep trying and keep testing until you find something that does work and performs well for the video. So that's the first element that we get to manipulate, is going to be our click-through rate. The next thing that we get to manipulate is going to be our watch time. How do we keep somebody watching the video once they've clicked? Okay. Now, this part's a little bit more complicated just because we get into like different, like you can adjust it with like your editing, you can adjust it with a lot of different things. But really what it comes down to is going to be two main things. One is delivering on the content that was promised in the thumbnail and the title, and doing that in an effective way. Okay. And then the second thing is going to be keeping in mind the needs and the wants of the viewer and providing that to them. If somebody wants to learn how to get really good at Halo Infinite, with the sword, right? We need to show them how to do that. We need to show them that process so that way they are satisfied with the result of that video. So we'll show them where to find the sword. We're going to show them the best way to use the sword. We're going to show them tips and tricks to use the sword. We're going to show them drawbacks to the sword. And then we're going to take all the information, we're going to put it together, and we say, okay, and this is how you get 80 kills with, the sword in, I was going to say Minecraft, in Halo Infinite. And so, again, that's kind of that process. Now, there are some other things you can do with the videos in order to make them more engaging. You can add in something called a pattern interrupt, which this is a talking head video. I've been talking on the screen now for 19 minutes and 30 seconds. If I were to quickly switch screens to this, it changes the pattern. Something different has happened, right? So pattern interrupts, building up the story to what's happening, getting to that video's climax, and so on. So there are a lot of ways that you can learn about that. I'm not the person who's going to teach you how to do it. I can tell you the math and the science behind it, but you're probably already realizing that my videos aren't super exciting, right? The information's good, like the information's helpful and it's as valuable, but maybe I'm not the best editor in the world. I'll hire somebody at some point. But that's that next step that we would then want to process, or that we would want to evaluate. And the way that you evaluate your success with your videos is you're going to be looking at your video's retention graph. Okay, we want to see how long somebody actually watches the video. We want to look for spikes. We want to look for dips. We want to see how many people are still watching the video after 30 seconds, because again, that's going to show us how well we are engaging with the viewer in order to keep them interested in the content throughout the length of the video. And we're also going to be looking at our percentage viewed. What percentage of people are, still watching after 30 seconds? What percentage are still watching after 20 minutes, like this video? And we need to look and see what points people are dropping off from, what kind of things people aren't interested in, what kind of things where it's just not connecting. And then we also want to look for things like spikes. Okay, now the spike means that somebody rewound that video. Do we still say that? Like that's a very VHS thing. It's where they went back and watched that part of the video multiple times, or multiple people did that at least once because it's something that was really, really interesting to them. You'll see this a lot with like crazy moments in the game, right? So somebody's like, "Whoa, did that really just happen? I got to watch that again," right? And so they'll go back and they'll rewatch that part, and that's a valuable thing that you can then. It's valuable data because now that specific element, that's something people really, really liked. And so if you were to do like a follow-up to those videos and do something like, here are the best, like the top 10 moments from our funny moment clips, right? Or those, something like that. And then you could have a video of like those top 10 clips, those top 10 spikes that you have in your videos. That's a video that's probably going to perform really well because you already know your audience really, really liked that because they went back and they watched it again. So those are those first two elements. Again, it's your appeal and it's your engagement. Now, satisfaction is a little bit more complicated, but it's also a little bit simpler at the same time, depending on how you look at it. So when we talk about satisfaction, what they're looking for specifically, again, are positive engagements. They're looking for likes, they're looking for shares, they're looking for comments, they're looking for subscriptions, and those kinds of things. They want to see how the audience is interacting with your video and if they're saying that they want to see more. That's what you get for like somebody subscribing to your channel. Now, the number of subscribers you have doesn't actually make any difference, but it is a signal of how many people have shown that they want to see more of that content. And same thing with like the notification bell and those kinds of things. Now, the other part to that is if people watch multiple videos. Now, again, if we go back to that latent cross thing that we were talking about not too long ago, where they're training the algorithm, and if we can get that 2 or 3%, if we can be that statistical outlier, that's a really, really big deal for the robots, and that means that the algorithm is going to promote your content more to that viewer and to other viewers who are similar to that viewer, and that's a big deal. Now, in the business world, you may have heard somebody say the easiest person to sell something to is somebody who's already purchased something from you in the past, right? It's really easy for me to go in to buy peanut butter cups because I've bought peanut butter cups before and I like peanut butter cups. To bring that back to YouTube, the easiest person to get to watch one of your videos on YouTube is somebody who's currently watching one of your videos or has watched one in the past. And so the easiest way to set this up on your channel is to create something called a video bucket. All right. They typically will have like 2 or 3 different buckets. And a bucket is basically a group of content that is related to each other. Okay. So for example, on this channel, one of my buckets is YouTube algorithm explainers. So I have a couple of videos that talk about, how the YouTube algorithm works in each specific year. I have another bucket that talks about how to use like paid traffic, right? How to make money on YouTube is probably a better example. And so I have videos that talk about like different ways to monetize your content. I have a video that talks about how to make money playing Pokemon, right? And so how to make money playing a video game, that's another one of my main buckets. It's a bucket that I really am interested in. And especially now we're getting into like the crypto gaming, crypto NFC or gaming NFTs and that kind of stuff. I think that bucket's going to become a very, very popular one for me because it's something that I'm personally very interested in. And it kind of goes along with the theme of this channel, right? So I'm going to experiment with it. We're going to see how it works. And you should always have an experiment bucket. Do 3 or 4 videos at a time, or not like one after another, but do 3 or 4 videos, see how those videos perform, and see if it's something you want to add into your channel. See what buckets you want to take out, see which buckets you want to put in. But that's kind of how the buckets work. So we're going to have content that is relevant to the video that somebody's watching right now. That would then make sense for the viewer to go and watch next, right? And so again, we're trying to get people to watch multiple videos on our channel, so that way we're getting all those extra views, we're getting all that extra retention time, and we're telling that person's individual algorithm, hey, this person likes our content, we should be promoted to them more often. And then we're telling that search or that traffic source algorithm, hey, this particular audience really seems to enjoy the type of content. Maybe you should show this to more of that particular group. And that's really what it boils down to. It's those 3 things. We need to get somebody to click. We need to get somebody watching as much of the video as possible, hopefully all the video. And we really want them to engage with the video, and we want them to watch another video of ours afterwards. And that's really the key. This whole 27 minutes I've been talking, it boils down into that one little thing. And then hopefully I've given you guys some advice as far as how to actually implement that and how to cause those things to happen. Now, if you want to kind of take this to the next level, if you want to go even deeper into how these different things work, and if you want to get more information about the individual steps and processes that we go through, then I have a couple different options for you. First, obviously, you should subscribe to the video or to the channel. You should like the video, leave me a comment. I do answer every single comment that I get on this channel. So if you have a question, I will answer it for you. But also, you should join my Discord because we have a group of people. I think there's about 50 of us in there right now that are passionate about YouTube. We have YouTube experts in there. I'm not the only person. We have editing experts in there. We have monetization experts in there. It's a really, really interesting group, and it's a great place to ask questions because you're going to get some good answers. So definitely recommend the Discord. And then, of course, I got to show something. I got to sell something in this video. I have written a book about YouTube algorithms and YouTube gaming. It is called The YouTube Gamer's Guide, the professional guide to starting, growing, and monetizing your gaming channel. Currently on sale for $4.99. I've got some pretty good reviews. And it's a short read. It's about 61 pages. But it's pretty handy, and it will help you guys do quite a bit of stuff and explain some of these other concepts we're talking about. So it'll talk about things like viewer avatars, and it'll talk about content buckets, and it talks about evergreen versus trending content and tentpole content and that kind of stuff, which is all pretty neat. So if you guys want to check that out, I highly recommend it. I do have a PDF version that has a lot more graphics, and it has some of the forms that we use and that kind of stuff that's available on my website. It does cost a little bit more, but shoot me a message on Discord and I'll see if I can send you guys a coupon or something like that. But that is what you guys would want to do next. Now, I do have some other videos on here talking about buckets and getting people to watch multiple videos. I do have some other videos on here that I would recommend you guys check out. First, you're going to see the video that YouTube's recommending that you watch, so they know what you guys are interested in. Hopefully it's showing you something good. And then I'd also recommend you guys go and watch my video on viewer avatars, which goes into a little bit more detail about what we were talking about before, about why somebody's on YouTube, what is it they're looking for, and then how we can best help them. And that video is called How to Get More Viewers on a Gaming Channel. And again, it's some pretty interesting stuff. It's valuable information that will help you to grow your YouTube channel and I highly recommend it. If you're also interested, there's some other videos on the channel that talk about how to monetize through AdSense a little bit more effectively, how to hack AdSense so you can make more money off of it. And then we also have some tutorials on there about YouTube Shorts, which are a great way of getting a lot of viewers onto your content, especially to grow a channel really quickly. YouTube Shorts are an amazing tool, and I highly recommend taking a look at that as well. But that'll do it for me and for this video. Have yourselves an excellent day. See you guys in the next one. Don't forget to like and subscribe.